All right, the day I've waited for a long time. We've all been waiting for a long time. Not meaning you, the viewer, meaning the customer, and I, the worker, the contractor. Finally got rock. What I was hoping for was a 3 to 5, which is a coarse rock, but not riprap. And this come out of a quarry. Because I'm further west than I normally work, this come out of a quarry I've never had any stone come from. And they called this a 3 to 6, I think. But there's rock in here that's, I saw a few that are probably like 14-inch long. That's a 12-inch shoe. So this is a little rougher than what I had hoped for. And hey, if I was building an interstate or a garage for heavy equipment, this would be what I would spec, particularly being on this flat ground. You can see that, that's the truck sinking in. So I'm spreading in a wetter season. I don't have the compaction that I would like. When you lack compaction on clay, particularly on flat clay with poor drainage, or a non-ideal water funneling situation like this, like digging into a bank where I've got just a huge collection area and I have to try to divert around the building, better safe than sorry. No one ever said, man, that highway we built over there, over that swamp, it's too bad we used such large rock for a base layer. No one ever said that. Highways don't fail because the rock was too big. They fail because it was too small. Small rock migrates. If you got wet ground, poor stabilization, you're going to have sinkage. If you don't have drainage, you're going to have waterlogging. You're going to have mudslides, things like this off the side of a mountain. Those mountain roads, they don't wash out in the summer. They wash out in the spring when the snow melt and the rains are just saturating the ground and it becomes fluid. Clay becomes fluid. Well, if you put a thick enough layer of rock that rock all binds up, becomes load bearing, if it's all been vibrated down compaction wise to where not one stone can jiggle over anymore because it's pushing into its neighbor, then you've got a floating cap. You could saturate it all you want and that top cap will never move. Here's where I got to so far. It's one load spread out and one just dumped off in the corner. I think that I've got it where the drainage is going to work from that corner this way and that way. I think I'm pretty confident that I've got this where it'll drain down here and not run over. We'll get that seeded with some wheat and some straw on top. I don't love this corner, but I'm getting into the root ball of that big maple that I cut. I didn't realize we'd be coming back this far. This does give me like a 5-foot alleyway behind the building, give or take. And I've got this banked up like right here. So we've got a swale. Goes down there. Tomorrow I got to clean up a little bit more. It'll probably be the last day of burning tomorrow. But whatever rainwater comes down here, if it doesn't percolate into the ground, it's going to run down yonder over there. And we're going to, tomorrow, spread out this base rock. And then there's some medium-sized rock that's down there, about a half a load, maybe one load, that is closer to what I wanted. And I'm going to kind of cap this and smooth it. Just a little light coat to fill in the big holes on this riprap is what it is. No one will ever be able to say we didn't put a sufficient foundation, even with the potential for water saturating in here. I think that we'll be okay. We had a big rain event, pretty good size, like an inch in a short period of time. Big enough to see how the water performance is over here. So I've come back to take a look at things. And something caught my eye over here in this little puddle. And I looked and I thought, like, what is that, a carrot or something? Like, it looked like, that's a dang bark grub. Look at that. These things are normally like 3/4 of an inch. It's like a mealworm. I can't understand how on earth that could be that big. It's like there's growth hormone in this dirt here. Maybe that's why the place grows big timber. Golly. The good news is I don't have any sign of any major water flow cutting straight down the bank. Now I know this is a really steep bank and people that aren't used to seeing clay will think, oh, that bank's not going to stay up. But I got news, you'd be pretty surprised what settled clay can do if you get a root system established in it. So up there I had basically built this high ground to make a swale so that all the water that wants to come towards me is gonna run off over yonder down back there. And obviously I got a low ground in here where it's pooling. So what I will do is bring back some of this good clay and settle some of that in here to displace this water, because I want the water flow to stay. Whatever does manage to come over this embankment, which I don't perceive it to be much, I want it to flow this way. So I've got to have pitch, you know, I've got to have pitch down here. I think that I have it actually pitched where any water, I think it will all travel to this corner, then down here and out. I'm gonna have to change the ground over there dramatically, but honestly for now that's all just pushed up, you know, that hole, it's about 2 feet thick of just dirt that I pushed over there and flattened out just to make a workable space for doing this bonfire type stuff. As you can see, we've got pooling right here. It's a low ground, so this will all get changed. Matter of fact, there's going to be a bit of an apron coming off this way and an overhang. The building ridge runs this way, so that the pitch, you know, there's 2 pitch like that in the gable end facing the front, and eventually there'll be a lean-to built off it so that the sawmill that the customer owns can sit here, which means that the skid steer is going to be coming in this way and loading logs. So this wide open area can become a bit of a log deck, and, you know, a place to pile slabs, a place to put pallets and stack up your lumber. This could be a lumber drying area, for instance, you know. Nice flat ground, easy to work, wide open access. Just a nice, comfortable working situation. So, fire's out from the rain, and no complaints. It's mostly gone. I'll be able to take the skid steer with the grapple, pick up these stumps. The clay that's on them has been baked, so now it's brittle and it'll fall off easy. So I take the grapple bucket and just chew them stumps up, lift them, drop them, lift them, roll them, drop them, flick them around, and then probably what I'll do is start another burn pile, like just transfer everything from here over to there, so I can rake this area out. And what's going to most likely need to happen is this dirt will probably get dug down and pushed up there to windrow to dry, and that stuff that's up on elevation, that's dry right now, so it will get pushed back in lifts. That way we get this wet soup hole emptied out. It will take a serious long summer drought to dry stuff that's 18 inches below grade. It really, you can have squishy ground for years if you've got water that's kind of trapped in there from an excavation project. Back on the job today. 2 days of rain. One of them was really hard rain, which is excellent, perfect timing, because this is a complicated drainage scenario. None of the bank has any major erosion. Like, there's no creeks coming over it. There is water coming right through here. That's groundwater, and it's coming through a root hole from that maple stump. You cannot hold back groundwater, period. You have to let it drain. Having features that shed water as surface runoff rather than letting it percolate. If it pools, then it's going to percolate down. If it percolates down into the water table, it's got to come out of the water table, and it's coming out of that hole right there. Now, this pooling area that I've got right here is fine. I just need to do a little bit of precision work to get this drainage path open again and get everything to drain down that way. I do not want this water here draining across the driveway. I don't want it pooling up in the front. I don't want it draining across. What gets collected here, I want it to run down this way, behind the building, and down the back. As you can see, this is what agitation, clay, and stone will do. The smaller the stone, the deeper it goes. Only the big stuff stays on top. Now, I just laid those ones there because that spot has nothing. It's kind of displaced all the stone. Your smallest stone needs to be higher up on the pile. Your biggest stone, I know this is so simple, right? Your biggest stone needs to be down on the bottom. Why? Again, because it has that flotation. So we put the big stuff down and the small stuff up. Now, clay is just a totally different material. It took 2 seconds for that to get mixed into that. Would you build a house on top of this? No? It can be done, but you got to understand what you're doing.